just because Israel employs pinkwashing against Palestine, using Hamas as an example, doesn't mean that Hamas is automatically good. That connection is so weird to me.
I mean, it's also, even if one would support armed resistance against the occupation, doesn't mean, and see that is justified or something like that. That doesn't mean that one has to automatically the other way around. Let's say liberation wash every other aspect of every moving.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason to get these things mixed up. Of course, during a time such as this, when Hamas is involved in a war against Israel, it would be very difficult, of course, to criticize them, because it's important for most Palestinians to show unity in facing the enemy and the genocidal politics of Israel. But we shouldn't let that fool us into thinking that Palestinians in general would support Hamas's social policies.
I think that's understandable for Palestinians, especially Palestinians from Gaza who have family left in Gaza that might be vulnerable if they do criticize Hamas, and also the idea of like unity in the face of a genocide. But if Hamas was an organization in the West, then you would see these nuances. If it was your own country, you would say, well, like, okay, yeah, of course there are problems in Sweden, but I'm not about to start voting for the Sweden Democrats, because there's a nuance there. Like some of their criticism is valid, but they're a crazy reactionary party. So why can't you afford the same nuance to Palestinians? That's my take. They're doing an Orientalism. Anyway, okay, so back to the timeline. After Hamas does take power and in the end consolidates total control over the Gaza Strip and implements sort of an Islamist agenda and is more and more authoritarian towards dissidents and things like that, like we just spoke about. This happens in parallel to the beginning of a long chain of wars between Israel and Hamas, essentially, but it becomes between Israel and Gaza. How do these wars affect Hamas's policy and what basically their rule over Gaza?
So I think it's important to point out that Hamas, apart from the social policies, etc., that we just talked about, it's also clear that Hamas has been trying to restructure all of Gaza society into a kind of resistance society.